Hey guys, Sif here. And an interesting fact for all you guys, this is the third time of me recording this video because Fraps cut out twice. So this will not be the first or the second time me saying this. It'll be the third time. So you can assume that I've had a lot of freaking practice, unfortunately. Alright, today is my first rant video. Yeah. Anyway, and the topic today, while I change my sensitivity so I can actually surf while I'm talking. Let's go 3. Is that good surfing? Yeah, it'll do. Oh god, no. Wait, hold on. Alright, yeah, that's good. And the topic today is esports versus real sports. Why am I going so fast? Would esports be considered a real sport? And if so, how does it compare? And does it take more skill to play esports versus normal sports? Alright, the first question of the topic, and this is more like a podcast to start off. The rant bit will come in later with all these prebs thinking that esports is bullshit and, gaming shouldn't be considered shit. Anyway, let's just start off with the topic. Okay, so starting off, should esports be considered a real sport? Now, legally, esports is actually a real sport, and they're even drug testing people because it's a game or an activity that requires skill. That requires extensive skill that you play competitively for money. So it classifies as a sport, and nobody can argue with that. All right. And if you want evidence, I'll go look that shit up right now. Bring up the evidence. So this is a rant video. We're not really looking for gameplay. Well, it's a half podcast, half rant, so I kind of broke my system already. But alright, let's see where we can get it. Yeah, this is Olympic techniques. Australian esports have a drug problem. Professional gamers. Highlight professional. Now, if you can't see this for some reason in the fraps, and I'm just looking at a blank, like at the CSGO screen without me moving, you'll know that I'm looking at something on the internet that proves esports is a real sport, because it actually is. And they're testing people for drugs now. Highlight professional. Alright, so now that we've established esports is considered a real sport, no bullshit, don't even argue. Now that we've established that it is a real sport, it's competitive, it's professional. It takes a high amount of skill to compete at the professional level, which takes years of training, and you win a large sum of cash for the winner, the runner-up, probably third place. Anyway, that's not important, and they're also testing for performance-enhancing drugs, which proves my point more. So yes, not even in my opinion, but factually, esports is considered a real sport. Now let's move on. To all you haters out there, I honestly don't give a shit. Thank you. So now that we've established esports is a real sport, for like the third or fourth time I've said that, now we can establish the differences between esports and real sports. Okay, so esports is, like I said, a sport. But see, the common misconception and the reason that people think it isn't is because people think that sports requires intense physical exertion and physical activity. Well, in actual fact, sports just requires extensive skill and where everybody competes for a common goal in a competitive environment with players, something like that. You can look up the definition. Anyway. And also, if you do look up the definition and it says physical, requires physical activity, technically you are, like, doing physical activity, by moving your mouse and clicking the keys. So yes, it is a bit dodgy, but it still does tick the boxes. So yeah, if you compare it, the first thing is, it's quite evident that esports requires a lot less physical strain than normal sports, which I honestly don't mind. But now, here's the thing. In my opinion, and this is purely opinion-based because this is purely subjective. There's no objective evidence towards any of these. Well, this question anyway, the last one is objective because it's been proven. In my opinion, esports requires higher mental capacity and strain. So it requires more on the brain and, the mental state to play esports at a professional level than it does to play, say, soccer, football, hockey, any of that at a professional level. Because esports is all about strategy, reaction time, freaking timing, positioning, advantages, being at the right place at the right time. There'd be hundreds of things that you could list off and you could get it straight from a pro. So you have first-hand evidence. And yes, in my opinion, it requires more mental strain than a real sport. But it's quite obvious, and nobody can argue against this, that sports require a lot more physical strain. And for some reason, people like it when people get physically strained, and they think that it's cooler just because it's physical. Well, actually, it's cooler to play esports because it's mental. That's my opinion, and nobody can disprove that. All right. Moving on, what was the last question? Okay, what takes more skill? Esports or real sports? Now, this is quite interesting because earlier today, I was talking with some buds of mine. Well, actually, we were more arguing that they were like, esports is shit. It's easy to get good at it. It's not a real sport, whatever, any of that bullshit. And we're also talking about how which one requires more skill. And earlier today, I was like, esports requires more skill. Now that I've thought about my opinion and revised, I actually disagree. I think that normal physical sports requires more skill than esports, because not only does normal sports require mental skill, it also requires physical skill. So if you put 2 and 2 together, it largely outweighs esports, whereas that just requires mental skill and various hand movements over and over again to create muscle memory, which is aiming. So in response to that question, I believe that normal physical sports competing at an Olympic or professional level requires more skill than esports. Yes, I do admit that. Me personally, what do I prefer? I don't even have to say it. I prefer esports. I think it's more exciting, fun for the viewers to watch. I believe it's more accessible because anyone can play esports. Literally, if you're in a wheelchair, if you have leg disabilities, if you have disabilities in general, you can still play esports, even if it's not at a professional level. Like, most of us can't compete at a professional level. That's why it's called professional. You can still play. Whereas with normal sports, you have to be at a certain physical capacity to be able to play. So I prefer esports over normal sports. That being said, I do believe that physical sports requires more skill after a certain amount of thinking and revision. So we've covered, is it a real sport? The answer is yes. Does it require a lot of skill? The answer is yes. Does it require physical skill? The answer is no. Do you need more skill to play sports at a professional level or esports? The answer is sports. And we've covered the topic for all you esports versus normal sports elitists. Freaking normal sport elitists. Esports is shit. It's computer games. Anybody can do it. No. You're completely wrong. Like, completely and 100% utterly wrong. And your opinion is bullshit. Keep that to yourself. I don't want to hear any of it. Okay, thank you. This has been the first. I don't even know whether to make this a freaking podcast or a rant video, because I mean, there has been elements of anger and disagreement in this, but I think overall it's more considered a podcast. Actually, at the end here, I'll make it a rant video. I'll put my opinion. I'll voice my opinion on what I think of those shitheads that think esports isn't a real sport. Well, first off, if you look at what makes a normal sport, yes, even though some of the categories are a bit, close to the line, a bit extending the truth sort of thing, yes, it does classify as a normal sport. And in society, it's legally considered a sport. And if you're an esports player, you are considered an athlete. Yes, you are considered a professional athlete if you play esports at a professional level. And I hate people that just like something that their parents did, like when they were brought up, they just freaking, they were brainwashed into thinking the only thing that sports means that you have to freaking break your bones and hurt yourself to look cool to other people. And yeah, it's physical, so it's sports. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, sir, but I think your opinion is shit. And I will not have any. I will not have any of it. Sorry for my stupid accent. It's probably racist what I just did, but I don't mean it that way. I just try and spice up my podcast and rant videos, so don't take any of the bullshit random ass accents that I do to heart, because I'm just trying to add humor here. This is what the show's about. Actually, no, it's not about humor. It's not meant to be funny. It's super serious. I am, as of now, a professional commentator. Okay. Well, that basically covers my rant video of rant/podcast, whatever you want to call it. I'll just make it rant episode 1 just so I can add a new series to the channel and get a higher view count. I'll get more than 20 views is basically what I'm saying, which is normal because my channel's small and I do videos for a small group of friends. Alright, yeah, that basically concludes the video. Like, rate, comment, subscribe. If you can be bothered, like, I honestly don't care, because I just do this for fun. But, yeah, see you guys on the flip side. This is SiF. Probably making a new video, either today or tomorrow. And, it's me checking out. See you guys.